delightful being here. I was born in Minnesota, St. Paul, and moved out to LA 20 years ago. And the last 7 years have been a really wild ride around the world, gathering up a whole bunch of neat stuff. And it's really fun here, taking a few minutes to share and enjoy whatever we can this morning. I am very much a big fan of questions, so please at any time ask lots and lots of questions. I love to hear from you, and there's a whole lot more energy if you speak up, so please don't be shy. Please ask lots and lots of questions in any way, shape, or form, okay?
I would just like to say, when you have questions, I'd like to come over with the mic because we are recording this, okay?
Great, yeah. So lots of questions, please. And let's begin, if we can, for just a few minutes, grounding here with my favorite breathing of, well, not favorite, one of my favorite breathings, but a nice starting one. This is a fancy thing called Anuloma Viloma. If kind of nice having your feet on the ground, more importantly, just being straight and relaxed so we can breathe. And this is a wonderful balancing breath. Get both sides, left and right, masculine, feminine, yin, yang, all that great stuff. So being energized and relaxed, let's get here fully. And if you can, do a little bit of that Spock thing. If we put our last two fingers together and our first two fingers together, the first two fingers, let's put up near the third eye, which is the seat of wisdom. Great. And we can just, if it feels nice to you, it's a great time to let your eyes fall closed and really get here. If you prefer them open, that's fine, but it's kind of nice. Generally, if we close the two eyes, the third eye can open. And what we're going to do for just a few minutes is alternating nostril breathing. Okay? May sound fancy, but we'll go through it easily together. So whichever hand you're using is fine. We're going to start by blocking the left nostril, either with your thumb or your other two fingers. Just the one hand. Okay, let's block the left nostril and breathe in through our right nostril. And then we breathe out through our right nostril. And then we plug the right nostril with our thumb or two fingers. Breathe in through the left nostril. Breathe out through the left nostril. Plug the left nostril with our two fingers or thumb. Breathe in through the right nostril. Breathe out through the right nostril. Plug the right nostril. Breathe in. Breathe out. Plug the left nostril. Try a nice big inhale. Exhale the right nostril. Plug the right nostril, huge inhale. Full exhale, breathe it all out. Plug the left nostril, inhale right nostril. Nice full exhale. Block the right nostril, big inhale. And a full exhale. Plug the left nostril, big inhale. Full exhale. This is a bright group, so we'll continue for a few minutes with this pattern on your own timing. Plugging for the inhale and then a full exhale. Really focus on a big inhale. And the exhale is the release. Release everything.
Just a few more seconds. Let's let that energized relaxation through as we continue the pattern. Focusing on nice deep breaths. And in the last few seconds, let's let that energy really go to our pointer finger and middle finger. So we rise the third eye between our eyebrows, the seat of our wisdom. As we continue breathing, let that open so we can open up to some wisdom, do some exploration. Let that third eye open up our crown and all the other chakras, and open up ourselves up. And on the final exhale, let's bring this practice to a close. Gently removing our hand. Welcome. So, the topic for this month is modern day mystic. So, being a good modern day mystic and the way my brain works, loving definitions, I went to dictionary.com and looked up what a mystic is, just to be safe. So, thanks to modern technology, I could screenshot on my phone, and it's a mouthful, so I will give it to you twice. Two definitions. Noun, a person who claims to attain or believes in the possibility of attaining insight into mysteries transcending ordinary human knowledge, as by direct communication with the divine or immediate intuition in a state of spiritual ecstasy. Wow. One more time, a little bit faster, just so you get it, because there is a test and I want everyone to pass. According to dictionary.com, a mystic is defined as a person who claims to attain or believes in the possibility of attaining insight into mysteries transcending ordinary human knowledge, as by direct communication with the divine or immediate intuition in a state of spiritual ecstasy. Everyone got it? Enough. Okay, with that definition, who here is a mystic? Correct, gold star. We all are. The key part of that definition that I loved is one who believes in the possibility of attaining. I hope you all caught that. Possibility of attaining. So, first and foremost, above all, I want to honor all of you deeply, deeply, deeply for being here, for coming here to Lake Harriet Spiritual Community. Spiritual, as I understand it, is not religious. Love religion, it's great, it goes to spiritual, but spiritual is the openness, spirit. So let's take a couple more breaths and breathe in that fact that we are all mystics. I'm a mystic, you're a mystic. So that's the first important fact about the modern day mystic, is each and every one of us is a mystic. Now, that definition was way too big and wordy for me. And actually this morning in the shower, which is a common place for me to get nice insights, I don't know about anyone else, but somehow it's just great. In the shower today, this other definition came to me. 3 words that I really like that I will offer to you in this theme of modern day mystic. And I would offer to you that a mystic is one who remembers. One who remembers. And I believe, take it or leave it, that we're here to remember. And there's no end to remembering. As a spiritual gathering, a spiritual community, there's a lot to remember. So, again, as always, any questions or issues or anything going on, I would love to hear what sort of rememberings are happening for you, or
what's going on here in Minneapolis, but that's definitely the last year, 3-4 years when like reincarnation became real for me. And it was 2013 when the soul became very real for me. There's been a lot of rememberings for me, so I'm delighted to be here today sharing some of my rememberings, and we'll talk more about that later. First, I want to go back to this definition thing that I have and like. And that is this theme, modern day mystic. So the second piece that I will offer to everyone seems to me when I first heard it as a bit of a oxymoron. And by oxymoron I mean modern day mystics, each one of us, is inherently timeless. So modern, we'll talk in a moment more about the navigating through these modern times, but I offer that mystics are inherently timeless, and that ties into the remembering. I would love to offer everyone to remember their timelessness. And if you, like me, can plug into reincarnation, just how many lifetimes we've been playing this game, coming back, looking to remember or bond, or however you characterize it, I very, very humbly offer up the timelessness of being a mystic. However, I do acknowledge that we are here in the 21st century as we collectively define it, so there are some, how shall we say, challenges for us in these modern times. So the first offering I had for you is mystic is one who remembers. The biggest takeaway I would love to give next in navigating this fun modern world and being a mystic is slowing down. Slowing down. If I can get any one of you for a tiny moment to possibly just slow down for a few seconds here and there, that's where the tastes of spirituality are, right? So the modern day mystic is bombarded, right? The pace at which we go now. Okay, Sunday morning I got to go to the service, then I'm going to get some gas, and I got to go shopping, then I got to call the kids back, then I got to go here and got to go there, driving around and this and that and cell phones and internet and technology and emails and everything. There are challenges, let's call them challenges today that mystics in the past didn't face, right? So I think the accumulation of that could be characterized as a bombardment of stimuli and pressure, cultural, familial, conditioned, all of that, to go fast and produce and run and think and do this and do that and achieve and be. So the biggest offering I can give you today is slow down. That is what every mystic has ever done through all the ages, is slow down and find God. If you like the word God, if you don't, source, truth, Allah, Buddha, Krishna. I don't like being caught in any words. I say God is a shorthand, but if you don't like the word, insert your own. So the biggest peeve, I don't know if I haven't been enough, I just got here on Thursday and I haven't been Ubering with friends, so I haven't been to a gas station. But in Los Angeles, where I am primarily, a few years ago, they put in TVs at gas stations. Do you have TVs at gas stations? You're just trying to pump? Yeah. Wow. Not easy to be a modern day mystic. I just got to put some gas in my car. I just want to take a few minutes and have a nice little silence and catch my breath. And there's got to be a TV blaring at me. I mean, there's an interesting level of crazy going on in America right now, in my opinion, which is why it's so important for us as mystics
to be slowing down, be with ourselves, take those moments. It's the practice that I gave at the beginning, the Anuloma Viloma, or whatever works for you. I don't care what it is. My favorite, taking a nice breath, slows me down every time. Just to remember that. Watch myself getting amped up and excited, and I want to talk about this and talk about that, and my brain starts going. Does anyone's brain get going really fast sometimes? Yeah. So the single of all the practices I was a bit of a spiritual self-help junkie for a while. I kind of did everything and was seeking outside. But the single greatest thing is always the simplest. That's another part of that mystic being one who remembers. Remembering the simplicity. What's simpler than God? What's simpler than connecting? What's simpler than slowing down? So on the practical side, just to take that slow breath every now and again. Or when we're relating with others and emotions come up, or the past comes up, or as a good mystic we're remembering, and we remember some insult from the past, to take that breath and just slow down. And so that I would call the biggest challenge for the modern mystic, is not to be caught up in the pace at which everything is moving now. When you go back and study all the mystics through all the ages, they were some slow folks. And even those breaths, when we take the breaths, and just practice that, or whatever it is that slows you down. All the meditators here, fantastic. Those who service, fantastic. Slows you down. Dealing with others, slows you down. Volunteering, a zillion ways to slow down. And what happens when we slow down is we find those gaps, those little moments for the divine to enter, for connection to happen, connection with ourselves. And the definition that I offer of mystic, one who remembers, the little gaps that we create to remember are those gaps where we can connect with ourselves, connect with others. Just coming here on a Sunday, great time to slow down, forget about the week behind us, forget about the week ahead, and just get here fully slowing down. Not something we do very often, right? Okay, any questions so far, or anything I can offer, or anything going on in anyone's life? Yes, please. Oh, the mic, yes.
How do you keep from getting bored?
Great question. Give the mind a gift. Okay? Say, okay, mind, we're going to be slowing down now. At first, the best, of course, is practice. We'll talk about that in a minute, the discipline. But to set up the framework for that, because our mind is so conditioned by family and society and all those goodies, we're wired to be going, and bored is not okay, and just being still is not okay, because we have to produce, right? So as we start, and whenever boredom comes up, to the degree we can slow down, let's offer the mind, the brain a gift, like, okay, you know what? In an hour we can watch TV, but for now we're just going to slow down. Literally talk to your brain, talk to yourself. Hey, you might be bored for a few minutes. You know, this new practice we're going to try isn't what you're used to, but you're going to be satisfied. We're going to read a book tonight, okay? Or we're going to go get ice cream a little later. Literally treat your brain like a child, because
slowing down, being a mystic, or becoming a mystic, remembering the mystic, it's new to the brain, right? We're not trained to slow down. We're not trained inherently. I mean, maybe some of us are, but as a culture, we're trained to avoid boredom. We're trained to avoid slowness. So at the beginning, it's not a trick, it's a promise, don't worry, bored brain, we'll keep some stimulus very soon. But for now, let's try something different. It's like dealing with a kid, give it a little trinket. Right, okay, yeah, a little later, we're gonna go walk the dog, go to the park, whatever. Does that compute? Yeah, great question, yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, please.
If it is the case that people go through time and time again and they remember back, the purpose is to remember back, okay, to be mystical. What is the source that is fouling the person? If I don't want to believe in what I would consider a conventional understanding of evil, how is it that we become fouled up and need to remember? What is that thing?
Gotcha. I think I understand the question. Tell me if this computes. I can tell you what I've been remembering, and I hope that it will be useful for you and maybe some others. So, God is a great word. It's fine. It pricks a lot of people the wrong way. I also like the word source. Source just feels really good to me. And so on this journey of, let's just say through lifetimes, if that computes for you and you've had any memories of that, there's source. In one way, as I see it, amusing itself, giving itself experiences so it can kind of remember. So this is how, let's just say, souls are born. Okay, a soul emanates from source, yes? And then a soul goes out and has experiences, connects with other souls for positive or negative. Or let's just say the E word, evil. At some point, a soul says, wow, let me experiment with this whole idea of being unkind to another soul. And then boom, karma's born. And then, oh, lifetime's done. So next lifetime, there's that karma, right? So all of a sudden, after, I don't know, 10,000, 100,000 lifetimes, there's a whole bank of karma, right? And some forgetfulness, which can get us to this modern point of quick distraction and everything else. And so, that could be like one way to look at how evil's born. And yeah, I'm not a fan of the word either, but as far as like remembering goes and looking back to those times and, what happened? And not even specifics, it's more the patterns, okay? If there is any remembering that happens for you as a mystic or any of us as a mystic, what gets really interesting to me and what's been interesting when we look at the political stage or the world stage and evil and atrocities and genocide and all the fun stuff going on, how the heck did this happen? How did some of us go so far astray? First, it's helpful for me is remembering that we are just human beings and we have it all in us. Evil, darkness, shadow, all of it. So slowing down and remembering, okay, yeah, at some point, wow, maybe didn't do some kind stuff. So when we see the patterns behind it, that's when it can loosen up a little bit. And we get to places like this, and we connect with ourselves, connect with others. That starts a certain energy and a certain vibration that's going to emanate out. And we combine that with slowing down, and all of a sudden, some of those things in the past kind of soften and the patterns stop. Is this, I don't want to get, it's getting a little bit abstract than I like. Is this honing in on enough? Yeah, great, thank you.
I was just curious about what do you consider to be your relationship to mainstream Hinduism? You're a Swami, and I'm not sure about it. This really is a question. I attend a regular mandir every month. These are people, mostly Guyanese and islanders. And I just wonder, do you consider yourselves to be an offshoot of Vaishnavites or Shivites or whatever, or all of the above? How do you see yourself relating to Hindu religion, the standard religion?
Sure. I have a very love-hate relationship with religion. Religion is really, really beautiful in a lot of ways, and I'll mention how and why in a second. And it's really tough in a lot of ways when I look at all the atrocities done in the name of religion. So I don't consider myself any one religion. I consider myself spiritual, the point where all religions aim towards. But to your specific question, as far as a pretty comprehensive search of a lot of religions really diving in, the one that I vibe the most with is Hinduism. Just the ancientness of it is gorgeous to me. And looking at all the offshoots of it, my first trip to India, I was hanging out at some temples and talking to some priests there, and the ethos in India is that Buddhism is just an offshoot of Hinduism. Yeah, Buddha was born here and went off and did his thing, it's great. And I don't think I insulted anyone, but I internalized, I was like, wow, Buddhism as an offshoot of Hinduism. That's like saying Christianity is an offshoot of Judaism. Jesus was a Jew, and he just went off and then came back and preached and, not an insult, but it was very, very funny. Anyways, to answer you, there are at least like 600 different offshoots of Hinduism. And so it's so broad and so beautiful. Some of it's a little bit rough. But yeah, the last 4 or 5 years I've done a pretty deep dive into Hinduism, some of the very esoteric parts of it. And the Swami was from Osho. If anyone knows Osho, he was a bit of a rebel. He kind of turned Hinduism upside down and gave sannyas, which is dedication to spiritual life, which generally you got to meditate 20, 30 years and be with your guru and do this and that, and then you become a Swami. Osho just said, okay, anyone who wants to become a Swami, you can be a Swami, just meditate daily. And so he caused a lot of controversy. So, very long-winded way of saying I love Hinduism, I love all the practices, I love the ethos. I'm a vegetarian, and my buddy, I said, well, I don't know if I'm Hindu or not. He said, you're a vegetarian, you're a Hindu. I said, okay, but I also identify as Buddhist and Christian, and I love all religions. Yeah.
I actually have a question.
Please.
So, as it relates to reincarnation and karma, from your perspective, when I think about it sometimes and how it's described, I think about the traditional religions and how the control mechanism was around. You aren't energetically able to quote unquote save yourself. That there's this external force. And so I wonder sometimes with reincarnation, because oftentimes people associate that with karma and coming back, is it exploratory or is it punitive?
Is karma exploratory or punitive?
Well, reincarnation, because it is, right? Is it about a freeing choice, or is it, you screwed up, you got more, you got to work, the karma thing. And that's where I feel like it's not, that belief system feels a lot like traditional religion and the thumb thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Which is why I say, find out for yourself. And I don't mean that glibly, in that, I don't subscribe to, and I don't like any dogma telling me what's right or what's wrong, or, oh, I did bad stuff 10,000 years ago in a lifetime in Burma, so now I got to come back and pay it off. I don't view it that way at all. And some branches and folks do. And so punitive, I don't get into. No, I don't subscribe to punitive. Now, that's the broad answer to you. Like we were saying earlier, looking I view it as a soul collecting experiences as it remembers. And to make karma very easy, it's law of reaction. So if I owe you $20, okay, I need to pay you back. And if I don't, that is going to build some karma. Very simply, if I don't pay you, I'm lying to you and deceiving you. And from my belief system, it is possible that I could have to come back and pay that debt to you next lifetime. Okay?
Is there an offset?
Absolutely.
You say, I'm going to give you $20 worth of meditation.
Yep, completely. It's exchange. Yeah,
Exchange.
it's about exchange. Yeah, karma's about exchange. And this is where it starts getting, so that's like the basic example, but it gets a little more complicated. If I do loan you $20, or I borrow $20 and don't pay you back, it is within the realm of possibility that last lifetime you gave me $20 and to pay it back. So it could conceivably, it's very, very complex. So I like to keep it simple and clear. Say the last part of the question again, because there's a part that I want. After punitive, what's the last thing you asked?
Exploratory.
Exploratory. Yeah. So in that slowing down to find out for yourself what, if there is any possibility of karma, if there is any possibility of reincarnation, it's fun, at least fun for me, when those memories come. Oh wow, last lifetime, this, and this happened. 10,000 years ago, this, and this happened. Whoa. So, not something to worry about, okay? Or get afraid about, tippy-toeing around, I better not, loan $20 or borrow $20, let me go into a shell. No. Exploratory is playing around with it. And then, in that slowing down and in that exploring, looking at possibilities. So, Buddhists call it nirvana, enlightenment. The Hindu word is moksha, which is liberation, which is ending the karmic cycle, the patterns. So, being at choice if and how you come back here. And so the exploratory part is all the other realms that can be explored. In Christianity, heaven, and they don't talk a lot about the layers of heaven and levels of heaven, the different realms, but they exist. And so exploratory to see what's possible. Just starting out, is moksha possible? Is freedom and liberation possible? I hope so. Let's get meditative and see. And so back to the religion question, the beautiful part of religion and the important part, the word I want to offer for mystics and modern day mystic especially with all the stimuli, the biggest word I would offer in a moment, thank you, is discipline. Discipline. Even if we get bored, the necessity to practice, even if it's like 2 minutes daily, to start with 2 minutes daily, or 5 minutes, or whatever, it doesn't matter what, it's the daily practice, the discipline. And there's got to be exceptions, but none come to mind, and it's so rare, I wouldn't count any of us as that special. A mystic without discipline almost doesn't exist, okay? The importance of discipline, in whatever way you remember, meditation, breathing, definitely coming here, obviously, but that discipline towards your spiritual life is the highest necessity of a mystic to remember. Yes, please.
You may have already covered this, but I keep looking for what's the goal? Where are we going with all the reincarnation? I kind of understand that we're trying to perfect our soul. At least I think that's what we're trying to do. But once we get it perfected, it's my understanding we can still choose to come back here. So I'm asking, what's the goal?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. When
when this whole reincarnation started solidifying for me 2 years ago, this in LA, this really great Himalayan yogi came and visited, and I was into it, and this moksha was really hot for me because I was into liberation. And from the suffering and trauma from my early life, I was like, I ain't coming back here. I want out. So how do I not come back? Like, what's my goal? My goal, I want to clear out all the karma and get out of here. So I'm working my butt off, going to every teacher, meditating, doing everything. Like, okay, I got to remember, so I'm going to remember. My goal is to get out of here, not come back. And this yogi from the Himalayas was talking about moksha, the reincarnation, the goal of not coming back. So I asked him, I said, okay, you talked about moksha and freedom, that's possible, right? Like, I want to get there, let's do this. And he said, yeah, that's possible. That's okay. You can get there and do that, and there's a set number of techniques, and that's great. And I want to offer to you, young man, maybe you could consider being like others who choose to come back and assist other souls on their remembering or on their way back. And that blew my mind wide open. As I continued remembering, kind of slowed me down, like, wow, okay, there's even stuff beyond the freedom and liberation to be out of the karmic circle, to actually choose to come back and be of assistance to others. Wow. That blew my mind open. So the last sentence is, you get to choose your goals. The beauty of being a human being and the human incarnation, and why all the Buddhists and Hindus talk about, 1,000 lifetimes as a cockroach, 1,000 lifetimes as a fish, 1,000 lifetimes as a squirrel, 1,000 lifetimes up. The really great gift of being a human is the ability to have choices and slow down or speed up your consciousness in a way that some other beings don't have. So you get to choose your goal, is the short answer to your question. Please.
This is probably a very naive thing to say, but I hear you talking about such things as slowing down, karma, coming back again in different lives and situations. You're talking about different types of religions. And I've sort of come to the point in my life where I want things to be more simple and not complicated, not involved. And I just come to the conclusion that the golden rule is the basis for everything. To live a good life, to be kind to people, to have good thoughts and do good deeds. And I don't have the patience, I guess, or maybe I'm too old to think about complicated things. And I'm hearing a lot of things that you say that sound complicated to me. Does that make sense? Or
Completely,
am I just
completely.
very naive when I say that?
I don't know about naive. So I got to ask, how's it working out for you?
Much better than it was when I was a practicing Christian and trying to follow the specific rules of the religion I was a part of, to do that in heaven.
Yeah.
And now I have a more direct relationship with what you call spirit, what I call spirit. And it works much, much, much better for me.
Fantastic. Yeah. I'm only interested in what works. And so you're correct. I'm up here spouting some complicated things, really to keep the mind happy. It's what our mind loves and what we're trained in. But the reason I espouse slowing down so much is slowing down does actually simplify. In the end, it's all about simplification. And to indulge the complication, there are older souls and younger souls. Some of the older souls need to learn all this and pick all this up, and I had to go to 27 countries to learn some of this stuff so I could start slowing down. But if you're already slowing down and simplifying, ahead of the game. And if it's working, fantastic. Keep doing it. Yeah, go with what works. Yeah.
Thank you. I had tea with two of my girlfriends the other day, women friends, and I would guess we'd all consider ourselves modern-day mystics. And just in conversation, it came up that being awake is very lonely sometimes. It's just profoundly lonely. And we talked about that, not deeply, but we've all felt that. Is that something you felt or something you can help some of us deal with?
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go with the second definition to take a look at that. I told you the long first definition. I gave you my definition, one who remembers. The second definition is a person initiated into religious mysteries. That's the definition of mystic. And yeah, I guess, no, we'll end with the initiation and talk about that. To answer your question specifically, what happens, at least that I've observed and experienced for myself, is as we mystify, our vibration changes. And we as our vibration changes, other people can, not at that vibration, start falling off, right? And so it does get a little bit lonely. And that is why it's so important to come here on Sundays and be with like-minded folk and seek out other mystics. Because luckily Minneapolis has enough. I was looking around and there are a lot of different places. Because you want to be careful with this awakening. The energy can be dampened, like I said, out in the gas station, with things blaring at us. It does change the vibration. We have to be very, very careful, and it's very important who we're with. So as opposed to focusing on quantity and all of our great friends, the quality of the interaction you can have with those few friends and the other friends that you make, very, very important, getting together and being together. And what happens, the possibility. I love sitting up here and talking to people because I always get to share the latest things percolating in me on my remembering and mystic journey. And the last couple of months, this word coming in to me has been transmission. Transmission. And so as mystics, as we hopefully slow down and are remembering, in the breaths or meditation or connection, golden rule, whatever we do while we're connecting with ourselves and others, a neat last offering I'd give to you is the word transmission. What are we transmitting? Right? And that's the beauty of being here on Sundays or whatever spiritual gatherings we go to. What are we giving? What are we picking up? Transmission is two-way, right? Transmitting and receiving. And so, it's I want to reframe lonely. If we can get to celebrating, oh wow, there are some like-minded individuals, how lucky that is for us. Yeah, but I would say quality over quantity and seek out the tribe. Yeah. One last quick question? Yes.
Thank you. As we're on this awakening journey together, and you were talking about how we're bombarded all the time with, at the gas station and everything with TV and cell phones and all of that.
Instagram, Facebook, the list goes on and on and on.
So what do you feel about the 5G that's coming in that everybody's talking about? And is that working against us as we're trying to awaken?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. She asked about 5G, the towers coming up and everything. Some friends who have researched it way more than me have told me about some of the horrors of it scientifically, and I believe them. So I just go on my own intuition that it's really, 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 really bad. Okay, buy those. You can buy like discs for your phone for like $20, $30. Buy it. And there's things at your house too you can do. Shungite's, Shungite's good? Shungite's really good. Yeah. It's, like I said earlier, the vibrations that we're cultivating as mystics and the work we're doing and the remembering, our vibration changes. And 5G is its own vibration. And all of the cell messages and everything are different vibrations that aren't supportive of our pursuit and our remember. They literally scramble our brain and scramble our cells. So anything and everything you can do to protect yourself, go for it. Which, yeah, actually I have 2 last parting mystic gifts. Thank you, that reminds me. Get into nature. Get into nature. Every mystic, again, with a few exceptions, but every mystic of all time spent a lot of time in nature and recharged there and took breaks from 5G and cell and stimulation and everything else. And being in Minnesota, we got lots and lots and lots of brilliant opportunities because, city keeps expanding, and the vibrations in the city, as you all know, are very, very, very different from nature. Nature's the beautiful place to get back and remember. Great place to slow down and remember. So I think is it time, Jan? Okay, let me keep in touch. Okay? Thank you much. So let me say those last words. I just love to recap the few things that I heard come out of this mouth, which we're all mystics. Every one of us is a mystic. And the fun definition that came while I was showering is one who remembers. And so to remember, we can leave with slowing down. And then the last and most important ingredient, which I sillily forgot to offer, which is gratitude. So gratitude for ourselves coming here, gratitude for each other and this location and the ability to get here and our health, however much it is there or isn't, for each other, and of course, higher spirit. So let's end with gratitude. Thank you all much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.